Hey everybody, it's Andy from Beyond Guitar, and in this video we're going to do Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones. Okay, here we go. Make sure your guitar's all tuned up. All right, and let's take it from the top. So it has the intro and then there's chords, and we're going to cover all that stuff in this video. Let's take it from the top. All right, here are the chords. And, let's go through the chords second. I know everybody wants to learn that famous intro part, and so let's go ahead and do the intro first. Then we'll go back and work on the chords. All right, here we go. So your first line starts on fret 5 on guitar string 2. And see on the tab right there, there's a 5. Okay, we're just going to keep this super basic. So, you could play this intro with one finger if you want to. Check it out. So, choose your best finger. Index finger is probably your strongest finger. For some players, the middle finger just comes more easily for sliding. So, I'm going to use my middle finger for now. I'm going to start on fret 5 on guitar string 2. Okay, and then you'll notice it says let it ring, and you hit a 0 on string 1, the skinny string, the thinnest string, right? 0 on the high E string. Now that gives you 2 of the same note. All right, that's a unison. Your guitar, if your guitar is perfectly in tune, those notes should match perfectly. That's what gives you that sitar kind of sound, like the Indian instrument, the sitar. It has a lot of resonating strings that reverberate, and so you get doubles or triples of the same note. Every time you hit a note, other strings have sympathetic vibration and start to sound. And so that's how he's getting the sitar sound. Okay, so you're on fret 5, play your 0, go up to fret 7, hit your 0. Number 8, play a 0. Number 10, 0. Okay, you got to have your hand with plenty of space there so you don't bump the open E. Okay, so after you've gone all the way up to 10, then you start to backtrack. You go back to 8, back to 7, back to 5. Okay, so according to the tab, at that point, he doesn't sound the open E anymore. All right, now we're just playing single notes along the B string. 5th fret, 5th fret again, 4th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret. Okay, I played that whole passage so far with just one finger, and you slide it along. Here's the sound. Okay, now I'm going to switch it back to the full screen, and I'm going to get closer to the camera so you can see what I'm doing. I could just play the note, play the note, play the note. But instead, what I really want to do is slide into it. Slide it up. The more you slide, the cooler it sounds. So experiment with slides. You don't have to slide on every note. You can just pick some notes to slide on. Maybe I'll slide just on the very highest note, which is the 10. Okay, that seems pretty easy so far. Now let's look at this other part. Oh boy, 2, 4, 5, 2, 5, 4, 2, 4, plus all hammers and pull-offs. Yikes, that looks a little intimidating. Okay, I'm going to give you some hints. All right, so this time you can't just use one finger. All right, you're going to need at least 3 fingers. Here we go. Start with fret 2 and use your pointer finger. Okay, now we're going to hammer using our ring finger. It's going to smash the 4th fret. And if you want to get good at that, curl your finger, point your fingertip right at the string, lift it up, give yourself a little practice run like this. Okay, and so you can see exactly where it's going to go. You got to hold your finger right above the spot where it's going to land, and then slam it down fast like that. Okay, what's next? Fret 5. Okay, we're going to need to slam that note down too. It's hard with the pinky. It takes a lot of practice, okay? But if you do 2 hammer-ons in a row, it sounds like this. Okay, now what? Now we're going to play fret 2 on the thinnest string, the high E. Okay, if you want to sound exactly like the recording, what you do is you do your double hammer, keep that pinky note going, and add in that high note along with it. So you get a little bit of a grind there as a dissonance sounds, okay? We're hearing both of those notes. The sound waves from each note are combining, and you get a dissonance. Try to keep those 2 notes alive. Okay, I've had a lot of students ask me, okay, what else can I do if I can't get the pinky part? Well, you can try a few different things. You can try to stretch and use these other fingers. And I think that's a big strain, though, on your hand. You could play a hammer and then slide. There's all sort of shortcuts that you could try, but the best way is to go finger 1, finger 3, finger 4, and then move finger 1 over. And there it is. Okay, next part, 5-4, 2-4. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to get all the notes ready that you need. I've got my 5th fret note ready. I've got my 4th fret note ready. I've got my 2nd fret note ready. It's all ready to go. And so once I hit the string with my pick, all I have to do is take this finger away and then take this finger away. Bam. So if you're all set up and you're ready to go, it makes it a lot easier. Now, if your fingers are just floating out in space, if your fingers are out here, you're like, oh, I'm going to do a pull-off now. Oof. It'll never work. You got to have it prepared. You got to set it up in advance. So get those fingers ready to go. Each finger is on the note it needs to play. Here's my 5th fret note. Take that note away, the 4 sounds. Take that note away, the 2 sounds. And then I can just play the last note, last note, just with my pick. It's not a hammer, it's not a pull-off, it's just a regular old basic note, okay? All right, well, that last measure is pretty challenging. But that's how it sounds. Okay, try it real slow, see if you can make every note ring out. So, does this note ring out? 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 You got to go that slow to master it, okay? Once you can make every note ring out, then try faster. There should be a little vibrato on that note. Okay, we got it. So let's play this whole line all the way through. 1, 2, ready, go. And there's the intro part. You should practice it nice and slow, okay? That'll help you to master it. Then go faster and faster. All right, let's move on. What happens after that? I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. and jump past some of this tab. I have this tab that's available on BeyondGuitar, and you can download it if you want to. Here is the first verse, where basically this is where Mick Jagger comes in with the vocals, and then on guitar you copy the vocalist. Every word that is sung is a note on guitar too, so the guitar and the voice have joined forces and are playing together. All right, so there's not any strikes of the open E this time. Instead, you just walk up the second guitar string and you play like this. Okay, notice those little tiny numbers, like there's a 5, and then there's a little line that means slide. That's what the SL stands for. You strike the 5 with your pick, and then you slide it to 4 while it's ringing. Okay, so it goes. Try not to overshoot. You know, you have to slide it and land very precisely right there, right next to the 4th fret. Don't slide too far, because then the note dies or you get a buzzing. Aim carefully. All right, so there's a definite slide. Keep going. Play the 4th fret. Then this time you're going to slide from fret 2 to fret 4. So strike the fret 2 note with your pick, slide up to 4, and then play the 4th fret again. Okay, so let's play this whole line real slow. I'll shout out the numbers. 1, 2, ready, go. 5, 7, 8, 10, 8, 7, 5, 5, 4, 5, 7, slide it, play 4 again, slide it, and another 4. Okay, let's see what that looks like if I get a little bit closer to the camera. Here it goes. All right, here's a question for you. Are the slides a slow slide or a fast slide? I think they're pretty fast. Okay, so don't take your time. Don't, just kind of lazily go da-da. That might be how you get it at first, but once you can make the sound and you're having success, try to go as fast as you can. So the moment you strike with your pick, immediately slide. Okay, so here I am on the 5th fret. Can you hear my 5th fret note? It went by in the blink of an eye, right? You can barely tell I played the 5th fret because it went past like a blur. Okay, so slide it really fast. Okay, let's try that line more up to tempo. 1, 2, ready, go. And that repeats over and over. And that's the verse of the song. Okay, the only part we haven't covered in the song is the chords. So pretty much for the whole song, we're just working on a few basic chords. There are only 5 chords in this song. So let's talk about it. The song's in a key of E minor, and the first chord is E minor. All right, for E minor, you play all the strings. If you're new at this, I'll show you. So 2nd fret on the 5th string, 2nd fret on the 4th string, cram them in close together. You might not be able to get as close to the 2nd fret as you really want to, but just get as close as you can. Your middle finger can get right up close to the 2nd fret. Your pointer finger, it can't get close to the 2nd fret like your middle finger can, but just get it as close as you can. Sometimes it helps to kind of stack up the fingers on top of each other. All right, then you can get close to the fret with both fingers. All right, so here's the chord. All right, I know it's a strumming song and you hit all the strings. Okay, but the way that you practice it at home and the way you test out your sound is you go, does this note sound good? 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 Because you might have a muted note or a buzzing note, and so discover where that is and see if you can create yourself a little bit more space. Okay? Test out each string. Every string should make a sound. Okay, at the beginning of the song, they're just... You're basically just strumming down, okay? Let's cover all the chords. All right, the next chord is a D. Finger 1, finger 2, finger 3. Notice the 2 X's that are there. Okay, the X's represent don't play those strings. So this chord only plays 4 strings. There's 2 strings you don't play. Okay, the last thing you want to do is strike that low note. That note's not in this chord, okay? It won't sound right if you play that low note. So strum carefully. Now you know why some players put their thumb up here, because that mutes the low string. If you touch the low string just real gently with your thumb, then you can strum and not have to worry so much if that string's ringing out. I actually do it with my right hand. When I strum, I kind of brush the 6th string, and so it can't ring out. The only downfall of that is you got to brush it with every strum, so that's a little bit of a chore, but my low 6 strings never going to ring because I keep touching it with the palm of my hand like that. Okay, keep going. Next one's a G. On G, you play all the strings. Okay, now sometimes you see the 3-finger G, but in this song, I think he plays the 4-finger G. All right, keep going. The next chord is A. Okay, so this is kind of the acoustic guitar A, where you go finger 1, finger 2, finger 3, and you stack them all up in a row. Okay, and that can be sort of tricky for some guitar players, like if you have big hands or wide fingers or a small guitar. It's hard to cram all the fingers into such a tight space. And so there's a couple easier ways. Like I like to do finger 2, then finger 1, then finger 3. 2, 1, 3. Aha, now that feels like there's more space. I'm definitely closer to the fret. Okay, so it's not going to buzz. And of course, one way that you could play that chord is just take your pointer finger, squish it flat, and press down 4 of the guitar strings. And that's an easy bar chord A. Okay, I realize that there's a 0 on string 1 that we're supposed to play according to this chord chart. But you know, I'm just not going to play that note. Sounds fine without it. Okay, so this is much easier to just play 1 finger. I don't want that last note there. I might just put my pinky on the string and strum. There, now I don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, last chord. You're probably wondering, well, I thought it was supposed to be B7. Why is it B7 add 11? Well, here's a thought. So most of the time, let's switch back to the close-up here so you can see my fingers real close. Basically, A lot of times when you see a B7 written out, you see finger 1 on the 4th string, finger 2 on the 5th string, finger 3 on the 3rd string, and then they have their pinky on the 1st string. Okay, and that's your classic B7 cowboy chord you see in a lot of songs. Okay, and I remember when I first got my guitar at, I don't know, age 13, and I tried a few chords from Guitar Magazine, you know, and I came across a B7 and I was like, this chord's way too hard. I couldn't do it. All 4 fingers, I mean, come on. And so I could play the first 3 fingers, and I could never get my pinky to obey my commands, right? Like the pinky just doesn't want to go where you tell it to go. And so you know what? Finally, I just gave up, and I was like, it sounds fine without the pinky. Okay, I'm just going to play it that way. Okay, and so here's a thought. There's a lot of sitar tracks in this song. We already talked a lot about the sympathetic vibrations. I think there's an open E pretty much ringing out all the time in this song throughout all the chords. Okay, so we're in the key of E. We're in the key of E minor. And so to strike the E, I don't think sounds like a wrong note. Okay, so I'm not too worried about playing my pinky finger on the 2nd fret on string 1. I'm not even going to worry about that. I'm just going to play this B7 at 11 because it's easier. Okay, now that we've gone through all the chords, let's figure out how to put it in with the song. So in the first verse, I see the red door and I want it painted black. What does he do? He plays E minor 8 times, and he plays the B7 chord 8 times, and that's the verse, all right? E minor 8 times, B7 8 times. Let's play that. Start with E minor, get your fingers ready. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. E, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Switch. Play that B7. And then repeat. E minor. 8 strums on E minor. 8 strums on B7. 8 strums on E minor. 8 strums on B7. Good job. Okay, now ask yourself this question. When you play your B7, does it sound like this? Or does it sound like this? Because if you're hitting that low string on the B7, oh, it just, I call that Chewbacca gargling. Like if you could imagine a Wookiee from Star Wars and some Listerine, what does it sound like? That low E is just not going to work with this chord, okay? And that's why it's X'd out on the chart. Okay, we'll never get our thumb up there to mute it. And so what I suggest is just move your middle finger toward the ceiling a tiny, tiny, tiny bit and bump into that low E string, okay? We don't want to press it down. We just want to nudge it ever so gently. Okay, now if I strum all the strings, can you tell that the low string isn't there? Listen. You can't even tell. That string's just a dead string. No one can tell. Okay, so make sure you mute that string on your B7, otherwise you'll have a very muddy sound. Okay, so let's practice that again. 8 strums on E minor, 8 strums on B7. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go! E minor, 5, 6, 7, 8. Switch. B7 chord. Back to E minor. Okay, you have to count to 8, okay? B7, Play every chord exactly 8 times. Bam, and there's the verse of the song. All right, we're almost done. Let's do the chorus, and then that's it. All right, so in the chorus, I see the girls walk by in their summer clothes is the first lyric of the chorus of the song. And what happens is he plays these chords on the screen twice each. Okay, so you do E minor twice, D twice, G twice, A twice. But then the B7 is, again, 8 times. Hey, it all adds up if you think about E twice, D twice, G twice, A twice. That's 8 strums. So you have 8 strums there. And then when you play your B7, you play that for 8 strums. This is what I call a square song. Like everything kind of fits into a box. It's not like Dream Theater or Yes or anything where 7 beats in a measure or, 15/16 time signature, None of that crazy stuff. It's just 8 beats here, 8 beats there. It's a square. Okay, 2 hits on E minor, 2 hits on D, 2 hits on G, 2 hits on A, 2 hits on, 8 hits on B7. All right, ready? 1, 2, ready, go. There we go. Okay, are there any shortcuts with the fingers? Let's talk about that before we stop. Okay, so is there any shortcut for going from E minor to D? Not really. All the fingers have to move around. You can't keep any fingers. You just have to move them all. Okay, what about from D to G? Any fingers get to stay? Yeah, totally. Finger 3. All right, that's important. If you're playing a D chord, play a D chord with me. Okay, now if I say play G next, the last thing you want to do is move this finger because you're going to just put it right back on the same note anyway. You'll be wasting your time if you lift it up and then put it back down. That doesn't make any sense. It's not efficient, right? So keep that finger on the string and then put the other notes of G on. Okay, so when you go back and forth from a D to a G, you keep that finger. Okay, next one. We're going from G to A. Are there any fingers that stay on the same note? Excuse me. Are there any fingers that stay on the same note? Nope. Okay, but are there any fingers that stay on the same string? Finger 3, again, same finger as last time. It stays on the same string. It just moves 1 fret. And then you got A. Aha, so this finger, rather than lifting it up, just slide it. And then you already have 1 finger of the A chord in position. Then you just have to put the other 2 fingers. Then you have your full A. All right, so going from G to A, you just simply drag your finger along the string, and now you can play A. Cool. All right, you can see I've chosen the 2-1-3 method of playing the A, and I did that on purpose because you know what question I'm about to ask. Can any fingers stay the same when I jump to the next chord? The next chord's a B7. Do any fingers stay in the same note or stay in the same string? Well, not exactly. However, if I do take all those fingers and move all the fingers 1 string up toward the ceiling and then maybe scooch my pointer finger back a tiny bit. I have B7. Okay, so A and B7 have the same finger configuration. I'm just going to move all the fingers at the same time. No sense in lifting them up and going, where does this finger go? Where does this finger go? Now I'm moving all my fingers around and it just takes too long. And so if I just simply lift them up all as one unit, move over, set them back down again, I can switch much faster. Okay, well, I hope you thought that this lesson was useful, and if so, drop a like and a subscribe. And I'm putting the tab on my BeyondGuitar website so you can download not only the tab, but the Guitar Pro 5 file also if you have Guitar Pro. All right, and I've got a Patreon that you can join for $5 with a whole bunch of different stuff like electric guitar exercises and jam tracks in every key. So check that out. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you next time.